Do you love Metallica? Are you a fan of these Metallica records, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All? Well, I have something for you.
That's all of it done for Master of Puppets?
Yeah.
We've finished showing you how we did Master of Puppets. 1, 2, 3.
As you guys know, I love Metallica. I love them to death. They're my favorite band of all time. And when I found out that the producer behind Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Injustice for All, Flemming Rasmussen, hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, I believe I am, but just in case, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, teamed up with Tone Gods Productions to create a video series going through those 3 albums, getting musicians in the studio, and he's showing behind the scenes of how he set up amps, set up the drum mic, set up all these different things to record, and you actually see recording segments of a lot of the songs from those albums with different musicians, of course, in the studio, but he's showcasing how he got the sound and the quality at that time, of course, in today's recording process, but he's showing how it was done back in the day. And let me tell you, it is fascinating as hell, and there's a lot to get through.
Cool, let's do it.
As we know, those 3 albums alone are very fundamental for the thrash metal genre. And seeing these videos of Flemming behind the scenes with these different musicians, showing them all the setup, and then them recording certain segments of drum parts, bass parts, and guitar, and vocals as well, it's really interesting to see how he set this all up and how he got the sounds that he did. Because when you think of especially like Master of Puppets today, how that sound is just so groundbreaking for its time, and it still holds up to today. Of course, all 3 of them do. But when you think of like Master of Puppets in terms of that opening battery riff, and you think of just everything else like Orion and the bass quality there, of course, even with, you know, Ride the Lightning with like Call of Cthulhu and all that, hearing all of these sounds, hearing what he was able to build and create at that time is just insane, because it helped define Metallica's sound with those 3 albums specifically. Kill 'Em All, of course, started that path, but Flemming really took them in an interesting direction with the 3 records that we're referring to, of course, Ride, Master, and Injustice. And so seeing all of this behind the scenes stuff is so interesting, because Flemming is very knowledgeable, and he was able to create something at that time that definitely was standing on its own with that band, which of course Metallica, against the other like big pioneers in terms of the thrash genre, because there was no real other like metal albums, like thrash specific or just metal in general, sounding like those 3 records really at the time. And they still stand the test of time to this day because of what he helped create with them. Because of course they brought the music, they brought the songwriting into the studio, but Flemming found a way to make it more impactful when it comes to the listener listening for the first time. I remember listening to the entirety of Ride the Lightning for the first time and just loving the quality of it. And it's funny because the guitar sound they had on that record was not what they actually really intended at the time, but Flemming found a way to make it memorable. I remember hearing Fade to Black for the first time and loving that clean intro. And then when, of course, you get into like Creeping Death, the hard-hitting impact of the drums, the Call of Cthulhu, how everything instrumentally worked on that track. Then you get to Master Puppets, where the quality just extended and everything just became more clear and polished, but still had that hard-hitting raw impact. And Flemming found a way to make everything sound better. And of course, we can get into the whole discussion about what happened with Injustice for All. But what I found interesting about that particular segment of videos, because there's a lot of stuff to get through in these Tone God videos, where they really go through all the different stuff of the recording process of those albums. But when you get to Injustice for All, that sound of the guitar, like how it became so synonymous with that record and just the sound of it, it's so interesting to see how that all got changed and everything over time. And the drums is too. Bass, we can, talk about, they cover that. They do cover bass within it itself, which is really cool. I still really appreciated that, because that's a big topic discussion for Injustice for All. But what this video series does is give us something that I really found interesting, because I've always wanted to see behind the scenes stuff when it comes to creating a record for albums that I love. And even though this isn't Flemming with Metallica, which would be amazing in terms of like showcasing what they did at the time, because of course back then they weren't recording and really doing that in terms of like behind the scenes during that time. But seeing Flemming working with musicians and recreating these moments and showcasing how he recorded at the time with them back in the day in today's standards, in terms of, because recording has definitely changed since then. But seeing how we're going back to like the fundamentals of what he was doing, and he's very knowledgeable. I just love the fact that there's so much knowledge within him that he still remembers of all the things they did. And it's so cool to see him working with these musicians in studio throughout all these different videos. Like I said, there's a lot to get through. There's so much stuff. There's hours of stuff to get through. But as you're going along, you're learning information as well in terms of how to record. Because as we know, at this point, you can record in your own home. Flemming is giving tips. He's showcasing what you can do. And so it's not just about, okay, loving what he did with the Metallica stuff. It's also showcasing and highlighting what you can potentially do in your own home in terms of recording if you have the budget and the ability to. He's showcasing ways that it can be done. And I really found that insightful, because even though I don't think I'll ever record music, at least I have more knowledge of how I can go about it, or there's a certain approach in terms of what Flemming did, because recording nowadays versus back then, very different, but the fundamentals and the core of it is still there, and that will never change. And I'm so glad the Tone Gods worked with Flemming to get this made, because it's something that truly is special for those Metallica fans that really loved the craft of how these albums were created, and seeing the highlights and seeing these moments that really show this is what it was like back then. These are the moments where he was setting this up, and then here's the actual finished product, and seeing the process of the recording as well. It's so freaking cool, and I highly recommend it.
Ready?
Right on.
3, 4.
In conclusion, I had a great time with these videos, and honestly, I wanted more. Every time an album would finish, okay, here's all the Master Puppet stuff. I'm like, I want more Ride the Lightning, and I want more Master. Like, I wanted more of everything. But I understand they put a lot of time into what they did put out, and there's a lot to get through. Like I said, there's hours of stuff, but I wish there was more, because I wanted more. But it's okay. It's okay, because they freaking delivered so many cool things that I really can't complain, because the only real critique is I just want more. I just want more. But yes, so make sure you guys go check out Tone Gods Productions website. They have a lot of great stuff there. Go check it out. It's definitely worth your time. Go do it.